I was like, all right, dub trip. This is it. And then I'm gonna stop drinking for the night. And then I just did the third dub, but it was like mad high. And then that was the dub times 5. It just like set me up like real good to another 4. And then I was like, still had gas.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is a world-renowned tricker and an instructor at Neo Motion Academy. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Mr. Tommy Case. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hell yeah. Yo, thanks for making this happen, dude. We literally just talked a couple days ago and found that our schedules aligned for this. So yeah, perfect timing.
Worked out perfectly, 100%.
Hell yeah, man. And how are things going? Like, you are over in Ohio, right? So like, what's the current status of, like, I guess, the city and where you're living at? Everyone wants to know what COVID is like for each person around the world.
Right. It's different everywhere. Well, it's actually pretty bad in Northeast Ohio where we're located. So we have a curfew right now at 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So like they pretty much want everyone to be inside unless it's essential, going to the grocery store and whatnot. So it hasn't really affected our business too much, but still just trying to follow all the protocol as best we can and make everyone happy. It's definitely kind of unassuring, so just kind of ride it out, see what happens.
Yeah, they just implemented curfews over here in LA as well for like the same time periods. But I guess, like, more specifically, you said like it hasn't really affected the gym. So are you guys still able to operate at like your normal like operating hours and same capacity, or how's it affected things?
Yeah, the operating hours have remained the same, but we're definitely still limited on capacity comparatively. We try not to have any classes over like 12 kids pretty much, and it's pretty much like at maximum space because like of how we split our classes up. We can keep everyone's pretty socially distanced for 12 kids, and then afterward it just kind of gets a little chaotic. So we've been trying to limit classes and whatnot, but just a lot of disinfecting, hand sanitizing, mask wearing, all that jazz.
That's cool, man. At least you guys can still operate, because I know like we had like Matt on the show, who's one of the co-owners of the gym, like back in the day, and during that time, I explained to him, like, in Los Angeles, like, we're completely closed. We're not allowed to, like, operate indoors yet. You can only, like, have gyms if you operate and take all your equipment outside, which is, like, a huge pain in the ass.
Is that workshop that you were doing that I saw? Was that at your facility or was that at a different gym?
Yeah, so that was at Jam, and we just did, like, that was only, like, the 4th or 5th one we did, but we required every person to bring in a COVID test, so they physically had to get tested and then bring in results. And then we capped it at like 20 people just so that everyone could stay 6 feet apart and stuff like that. But we've been closed since March, basically. It's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. Definitely seems like it's a bit more lenient here in Ohio, but still pretty serious, and we just kind of decided if, people are comfortable with coming to the program, then we just do what we can to keep everything as safe as possible following the protocol. And that's about all we can do at this point. We're definitely still limited, but it could be a lot worse. So it could be a lot worse.
It's kind of frustrating to me, especially as like a fellow like gym owner, and just like it doesn't make sense to me that like other businesses are allowed to operate. Like, I understand they're quote unquote essential, but it's like you still run the same risk. And it's like at a restaurant, just because you take your mask off, COVID doesn't like stop transmitting because you're eating.
Exactly. I've gone out a few times, and every time I'm just like, it's so odd. When I'm sitting here, I'm like there's so many people in this facility so close together. Like, and I know that there's a place close by, like where we live, probably like 20 minutes, that a lot of people go to, hang out, like a bar area. And I just know that there's a lot of cases coming from there. So it's just like, it's going to happen. If you're close like that, you got to follow the protocol. It's legit. 6 feet. You got to sanitize. You got to keep the mask on.
Yeah. Are you guys able to like eat at restaurants inside, or is it outdoors only?
We've been eating inside, but I still kind of stray from it. It's been pretty seldom that I've gone out.
Okay. That's super wild, man. Super wild. And now, like, with that being said, I know like one of the things that you've been like highly involved in, like with the gym, like obviously besides your classes and stuff, was you started doing a lot of cool things over quarantine, which we'll talk about and stuff. I think the first one that you really implemented was like the workout challenges that you guys were doing.
Yeah, we were just trying to give our kids something to, follow along with. It's hard with our structure because Zoom, like we can't offer the same value with all of like the mats and all the equipment we have. So I was just trying to find like a good little balance to at least keep some people engaged while not, busting Zoom for 30 hours a week.
100%, 100. And then like most recently, you've actually started delving into like, I would say, I think you do it like every Friday, you release these cool things, which I wanted to talk to you about, which is like basically tricking history. And so for those people that have no idea what we're talking about, you basically are chronicling and highlighting like a very specific tricker and kind of showing their backstory of how they got into the sport. And what was it that inspired you to do that?
That was just another thing to kind of try to spice the Instagram up, because we're trying to get some more, notoriety, try to just get noticed a little bit more as a gym, try to pull more business in. And that was just kind of one of the things that Matt and I discussed. I think Matt originally just kind of like, we were talking about just old trickers, and we kind of just came to the conclusion that I could, start a little episode, start highlighting some people that really inspired me, and just kind of just see where it goes. I still got like a lot of people lined up that I want to do, and I just have fun making them every week. It's pretty chill.
I was just going to ask you, like, yeah, do you have a list of people in mind, or do you like pick them out weekly with Matt and stuff like that?
Kind of started off like that. Like I just kind of picked Phil Gibbs first, and it just kind of came to my head. I was like, all right, we'll do him, whatever. And then it's just kind of been more structured as time's gone on. It kind of started just randomized, and I like got lists and kind of like the way that I approach the videos and everything. So it'll get better. It'll get easier as time goes on, but I definitely want to keep doing it.
Yeah, and I think one of the coolest things is like when the guys themselves comment on them and they're just like so honored to like have someone talk about them. With that being said though, like do you actually contact them and interact in order to get their history, or most of it just like research that you're doing on your own and based on like your own personal interactions with them?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a bit of a tricking historian. So for a lot of the people, I just can recall so many things that I feel like are notable. But for some that I haven't been so sure about, I've reached out, like Thomas Merriman, a few others. I've kind of just reached out and got a little bit more information, because I also don't want to like say anything that's not true, like even if it's just like where they're from, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but still, try to get it all locked in as best I can.
That's super cool. That's super cool. Have you had like a specific episode that's been your favorite thus far, or I guess someone that like you really wanted to focus on?
That's a good question. I really like the Scotty one. I feel like that one was big for sure. For me, it's just like Scotty and Mike for sure, like the biggest inspirations for me growing up. So it's just a lot of fun to like go back, watch all the samplers and whatnot, because I've seen them so many times. It's just like a crazy flashback every time you watch like a 2013 Mike sampler. It just brings back crazy memories.
Hell yeah. And it's dope, man. I've seen like them. I've seen like an evolution of them for sure. I feel like in the beginning, like, I don't know if you do now or not, but like the audio quality's improved. I don't know if you got a mic or something like that, but like I've seen like a clear change in them, like continuing to get better and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Matt's been giving me some tips with editing, and as far as the mic quality goes, we got a mic and stuff, so I'm just trying to make it a little bit more legit. But I feel like over time, get more traction with them and actually just try to make it more legit, just like the JAMCast. I mean, I wasn't following chronologically, but I know now it's just, it's like a full stage. You got a nice production going, and it's obviously pretty easy process-wise. You got it all set up already. Just come in, double check everything, and run with it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's turned into like its own like machine that works itself. I remember when we first started, we were like shooting in a spare bedroom. We were like all claustrophobic and cramped and stuff, and like, it's horrific. But now I show up and I have like 3 microphones and chair set. I literally just like sit down 2 minutes before I start with you, and I'm good to roll.
How about sure, I'm ready to go.
Hell yeah, man. That's super cool. Is there anyone in the future that you have coming out on like on your next week's episode, or are you gonna like keep those under wraps so that people are surprised each time?
Yeah, I feel like for now I'll just keep them under wraps. It's not huge yet, but I know that a lot of people enjoy watching them, so I'll probably just keep it low key for every week. And then I do want more people to kind of give me some ideas, because I'm only one person and I only have one experience with tricking. So I know there's a lot of people that I probably don't know that have inspired a lot of people. Keenan Carr was mentioning one to me. Chris, I don't want to butcher his last name. Balua. It's one more. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, but he mentioned him to me, and then like flashing back, I was like, wow, I did see him in a lot of videos. So people like that, I want to get into. More people that I would just definitely need to reach out. But yeah, there's not really a cap. Tricking's been inspired by crazy amounts of people. So.
Yeah, totally. It'd be cool to see some of like the old school guys like him. Like Chris is the one that invented box cutter. So like huge like huge influence on the tricking scene. He was one of the guys that was like back in the day doing like doubles and stuff when no one was really ripping them at all. So
I feel like I'm a little bit past that era, like where I started in. So I want to delve deeper into back in the timeline. I might have to reach out to you about some of that, actually. I could definitely recall some, but I got to reach out to the OGs.
Hell yeah, man. And with that being said, that's kind of like a perfect segue. I think one of the crazy things about it is like even yourself, you've had like a huge influence on the sport, and we'll talk about some of your like personal contributions to tricking a little bit later. But like, if I'm not mistaken, you're only like what, 22 right now?
22, yeah. 23 in July.
Wow, that's crazy, dog. That makes me feel so old. But how long have you been tricking, and what was it that like got you into this sport? Like,
All right, so it's 2020. It's probably been just about 10 years, like closing in on 10 years.
okay.
So I was in 7th grade, and this kid, his name was Luke, he could do an aerial and a TD rise. And his instructor was actually T-Pow.
Oh, Tyler Powell.
Yeah. So like I saw that, and I was already like an athlete. Like I had played hella sports. I wrestled for a really long time, so I was pretty strong just as a individual. And then I saw that, and I was like, dude, I have to learn what you're doing. And luckily enough, the kid actually called it tricking. So like that kind of got me like started because I already had that name. Whereas a lot of people kind of got introduced through karate and then took time to find it. I got shown tricking in 2010 by some random kid. And then YouTube, found Matt, found Sam, and I was actually friends with Sam's sister just because she was in the same grade as me in the same school system. So it kind of just like all played a part, and then eventually I was going to sessions with them like weekly, and I just skyrocketed. I just was on YouTube every day, dude. Like just looking at videos, figuring stuff out, going in the front yard, checking my body around, but we made it.
That's wild, man. So you had like no acrobatic like history at all, like previous to this?
I think we did like a little bit of like rolls in wrestling, rolls and cartwheels, just for like straight up like body awareness more so than anything. But I feel like I wasn't madly inclined with it when we were doing it. Like at least comparatively to some kids, I feel like I was kind of just wonky with it, but I don't know. I saw the flips and I was like, I'm definitely trying to learn that. And I straight up actually quit wrestling, like right after I found tricking. No. After like 8 years of wrestling, I was like, all right, I'm just going to do this now.
That's crazy, man. And so you kind of just alluded to it, how you like were able to meet up with Matt Milhone and Sam Caspio. How was it that you actually like got introduced to them? Because you weren't like friends necessarily before this.
No, so this other... When I was in middle school and high school, I had kind of like 2 separate groups of friends. One were the tricker friends because they were older. And then the other group was a little bit younger in my grade, just kind of like my school friends. And they're really cool dudes, really good guys. But this one dude, his name is Eric Johnson. I was just hanging out with him, and he lives near Sam. So we went to visit Sam's sister, and just hang out with her. And then Sam and Drew Donnelly and maybe Sean Kostick were all on the trampoline at Sam's house. And I just went over to them and started talking with them. And I was like, I actually kind of already knew who they were. So it was kind of like a little of a starstruck moment in a really odd way, And then they taught me how to cart full on the trampoline and B-twist. And then that kind of segued into everything else.
Super dope. And I did a deep dive on your YouTube channel, and I saw there were a lot of trampoline clips back in the day. Was that one of the primary ways that you were able to learn your initial tricks, or was it in gyms or grass? What was it that got you going?
Yeah, it definitely was that. Well, I learned tricking really oddly. I feel like I was an extremely visual learner, and I learned a cork before a backflip.
What?
Yeah. I was way off. It took me so long to do back tuck. Took me so long to do back tuck. It was just so terrifying. But I could just huck over the sideways angle and twist. So I just clicked on that. But the trampoline was definitely what got me to learn how to do doubles and learn how to variate skills and whatnot. Because what they did, they called it trampoline tricking. So they weren't even doing there's kind of 2 ways of trampolining, there's more the gymnastics and more just linear skills, the Cody fulls, the Codys, the kabooms. We didn't do any of that shit. It was all wrap fulls and swings and punches and whatnot. So I was trampoline tricking, more how Tiki Wu uses the trampoline, if you know who that is.
Yeah, totally, man. No, he's super dope at it. One of the people that blows my mind in trampoline, I don't know if you've ever seen him in person, is Dan Perez.
I don't think I have,
bro. So Dan Perez is the guy that created TKT, True Kick Terminology, and CMA. But dude, on the trampoline, this guy blows my mind. I don't see how his knees can do it, but he's learned the timing. So he literally can do all 4, he can do 4 seasons on the trampoline, no problem, eyes closed.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I could ever only swing in that.
Yeah.
I can do front swing or anything. That stuff never made sense to me when I was doing it. But I just was jumping in the air and trying to twist as many times as I could for a long time. That was definitely where I was at.
And I think what I've seen is I've seen you go up to like quad on trampoline. Have you gone past that before as far as rotations?
Went full like a few times, but they were all kind of sketchy. I did front 4.5 a lot that were all legit, but back 5 I did once. That was like 4.75.
Okay. Well, dude, I'm gonna nominate that person and throw him into the hat for tricking history. You should do one on Dan Perez.
All right, I like it.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind, dude.
Definitely. Not only like for what he did with TKT and like his tramp stuff, but I mean, besides like Jeremy Marinas, like honestly, I think he's the most skilled tricker as far as doing everything on both sides. He could do double ABC on both sides in combos.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That tricking on my right side is like it's up. Like I can't do anything past the most basic. That's like so respectable. That's like a crazy like structure to learn. Like you'd have to be learning so much on each side throughout learning. That's so crazy.
Yeah, 100. And he said that's like kind of the basis of how he was able to like help formulate his systems of teaching, was that he was able to break down things on both sides. So like if you watch him do a combo, you literally can't tell which one is his better side. It's like literally even. And we're talking front swings, like cheat kick combos into like double fulls and double chorus. It's bananas, man. Definitely. Hopefully you'll do an episode on him and you'll get a glimpse into everything he's done. It's wild.
That is definitely very inspiring. I'm about to mark that down really quick, actually. Gotta save it.
Yeah, Dan Perez, man. He was a huge inspiration and did so much for the Colorado tricking scene and the world in general, you know. So, yeah, that's super dope, man. And now, like, along the lines of that, like, when you first started off in training and stuff like this, like, how often were you training and putting in time, and, like, how long were your sessions? Like, were you obsessive about it? You mentioned you were on YouTube all the time and stuff like that, but how many days a week were you putting in actual tricking sessions?
Well, especially when I began, I would probably go to like 2 to 3 a week. I also didn't have a car, and my parents were paying for the open gym fee every time. So it kind of like transitioned, because obviously you pay for like structured sports, like organized sports. Mm-hmm. And now I don't do any organized sports, but I was asking you to go to a gym 3 days a week. And that gym was all around. That was like the first Neo gathering gym. I actually run a little program there on Mondays now as well. But I went Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. 2 of those sessions were an hour and a half, and the other was 2 hours. So like five hours a week.
Okay. That's
crazy. Just like trying to do shit and it was, the reason I went so much is because everyone else was going. Like it wasn't just me. Like I went by myself a few times. I would go and actually try like random stuff, and I would like go on YouTube, look up a trick, and then like be hungry to try it at the gym. Stuff like that.
That's super dope. And now, like, when you were doing your early training and stuff like that, like, was there a certain point, like maybe at a year in or 2 years in, where it really clicked and you started like feeling like you were taking it to the next level? I guess, like, for lack of a better term, like when you started chasing after things like, you know, dub and these multiple swing combinations and stuff like that. How long did it take?
Probably like 1.5 to 2 years. Yeah, to be like, I think I did dub like 2 years in the tricking. So I was pushing pretty hard. But I also wasn't like, I could do kicks and I could do other things, but like my main focus was always like just the swing throughs and just, especially at the beginning. Like it's crazy now, like how my view of tricking has changed, like comparatively, and like what I want to do with tricking. Because I just used to be so like one-sided.
And when you first started, like, what were your inspirations as far as tricking? Were there people you're looking to outside of your own local community besides Sam and Matt and stuff like that? Or were you mostly inspired by, like, what you guys were doing together as a group collectively?
Definitely, I think we were all influenced by each other a lot. And beside that, we also had MTBS pretty much neighboring us. And they were all, like, in a similar boat where, like, they were, like, really good at power tricks. Like, all of them were. Like, Alex Hunter, Pot, Kyle Skelly, Dan, just all of them, John Vanek, they were all so good at power tricks. So just like, that's obviously, they were like a state away, not even. So that's like what I watched a lot. And I thought it was cool that they lived so close. So I always watched them and got inspired by them. And then of course Guthrie. And at that time he was still like, he could do crazy kicks, but he was like still pushing the limits with the swings. So I was always just, I think that's what like drove me to do what I did throughout my first, 5-6 years of tricking.
That's super dope, man. And it is so unique because, yeah, like in the very like beginning and origins of tricking, like I guess a lot of people would credit like the mecca or like center of it to being like San Jose, California, because that's where loop kicks was. But like kind of around the time when you got into tricking, there was kind of like this paradigm shift where a lot of people were focusing on like, you know, for lack of a better term, like the Midwest and the center of the US because of NTBS and everything that you guys started formulating, to the point where now, like, you know, your guys' OMG gathering is like one of the biggest gatherings in the entire country and the world for that sake. And so it's pretty cool to see the evolution. Like I remember when there was a clear shift and all of a sudden I was like, what is happening in the middle of the States right now? Like there are some dudes just throwing down.
Definitely, yeah. That's like when it all caught on for me, for sure. That's like what tricking was to me. You know, I didn't really know. Like I understood the roots. I was lucky to have Matt because Matt was pretty studied on it. He was a martial arts guy, so he was a bit more familiar. But I still was not introduced in a very orthodox way, you could say, comparatively to like a lot of the other side of the country, I feel like.
Yeah, 100. And I think that it's so cool too. Like for the longest time, there was a huge debate within tricking, and there was a lot of like, you know, I guess split between people that were like, you know, if you're not kicking, you're not tricking. And then a lot of the guys in NTBS heralded like, dude, you don't got to kick to trick. Yeah, and for me, I was always like, man, I honestly think that it's so cool, and I'm blown away by guys who like tricking is like their first actual acrobatic sport. Whereas, you know, martial artists, we have like a little more inclination into it. Most times you learn jump kicks and stuff, but I've always been impressed by guys who literally, you know, for lack of a better term, are like quote unquote like backyard trickers who can just do these insane amount of tricks.
100% a backyard tricker, no doubt.
Hell yeah. And now, like, one of the things that I think that you're most well known for and should be given credit and probably do like your own little tricking history episode on is that, you know, you were able to land dub ×5. And for our viewers and listeners who don't know what that is and aren't trickers themselves, it's being able to land 5 consecutive double spinning techniques, landing on one leg and then landing into another one. And I remember you posted this video back in 2016, and you, funny enough, named it like dub ×4, but ...
Because it was the first time I had done dub ×4 as well, the same night. So it's just like, I feel like so many of the good tricking videos I watched were always kind of like cliffhangers almost, or like you would kind of like see the beginning, but there was always more at the end. And I wanted to like try to like add that spice to the video because I knew that it was, at the time, it was like a decent big deal, you know, comparatively to anything else I had done with tricking. So I wanted to try to make it as special as I could.
And that's so crazy. Like what you just said right there is the fact that you did dub ×4 for the first time in your life, and then you went for dub ×5. Like what most people, like generally speaking, have to like, you know, they land like a milestone in their tricking career, and then it takes them a long time to build up to like the next milestone, especially something as difficult as that and being a world's first. Like what was it? Was it just like a special night? Was there like something in the air? Were you feeling juiced?
Definitely felt like that. I honestly, the way that it completely happened in my mind was like I was gunning for the 4 for ages.
Yeah.
Like it took me like a year and a half to get to that point. Like dub swing, fail for so long, so many times. And then the one night I was just feeling really light, and I did the 4 and I was fucking psyched. And then in my head I said I was going to do 2 2 3. I was like, all right, dub trip. This is it. And then I'm going to stop tricking for the night. And then I just did the 3rd dub, but it was like mad high. And then that was the dub ×5. It just like set me up like real good to another 4, and then I was like still had gas.
No way.
It was for the 5th. Yeah, it was all just kind of like a mistake, but my body just was so like chimed in with the dub swing that it just kept happening.
No way. So you basically weren't even trying to go for dub ×5.
No, yeah, it was just an accident.
Dude, that's insane, bro. Most of my accidents end up with surgeries and physical therapy.
Yeah, bro. That shit was crazy. It's crazy to think it was 4 years ago, too. Definitely crazy. How much time has passed.
And so, like, when that happened, like, obviously, like, you see people that were, like, hype in the gym and stuff like that. But, like, did you immediately stop the session after dub ×5? Was that it? Did you walk out the building or, like...
I think I, like, waited for a while and just kind of, like, I don't know. My mind was blown. But definitely, I think I did 1 or 2 more passes. But other than that, it was just kind of, like, I felt like a huge weight off my shoulders.
That is
like I was walking like on like air, wasn't even like walking on the ground.
And how long did it take for you to put that footage out? Was that something that you went home right away and like got off and uploaded instantly, or did you hold it as a secret for a little bit?
Yeah, I think that I just went home and edited a small video and released it. Because I was in a weird transition too, like with tricking, where I feel like samplers slowly started to like, it shifted away from samplers and got to like more social media. And I don't know, I was just in this weird shift with tricking where I feel like right around that time was also when people were starting to go to Instagram. So it was just like I kind of got like taken away from samplers and didn't really save any more of my clips. So if I did have like a lot of like session clips, I would just edit them into one video and post it. But now I just have been training so many basics and just so much like randomness that I don't record that I don't know, I post what I get and just have fun.
That's crazy, man. And so like, obviously with having that been like a world's first, was it something that you actually tried to land again? And have you ever been able to land dub times 5 again? Or was that just like a one and done, you got it on camera?
I got it. I feel like there's another shift in like my tricking after that happened. I've done dub times 4 one other time beside that. But like after I did that, like I was obviously really proud of myself, but it was kind of that milestone where I was like, do I have the expectation to do that again? Or like, do I want to take my tricking in a new direction now? Because like, I've just been more and more inspired by the OGs lately, and just the ability to have really clean techniques like that, like stand out when you do them versus just like doing every trick. And I guess that's just like where my head's at now. But I think that was kind of like the beginning segue into like just a different kind of tricking for sure.
That's pretty cool, man. Almost like landing that, and like you said, the weight was like off your back, and then you could just kind of like get away from doing, I guess, chasing those goals and stuff.
It's hard though, because when you do that stuff, people create crazy expectations for you. Like the expectation for tricking now, like if you want to be like a good tricker, bro, like good luck.
I say that all the time, bro. I'm so thankful for the generation I was born in, where it's like if you could do a double cork or a snap a swipe, you were dope.
Right, you were the shit at the session. Yeah, but now it's like Shosei and Alexander and Kiki, like, oh my gosh. Like I only touched the surface of what they're doing, and I was pushing maximum weight every session. It's crazy.
Totally. And obviously one of the things I wanted to talk to you about with having been the first person in the world to do dub times 5 is most recently in tricking history, we have just been getting our minds blown by Johan Corsila, who most recently just landed dub times 7, first in the world to do, 7 double spin rotations. And I just wanted to see what you thought of that, and if you saw that clip and what your perspective was.
The only thing that I thought of when I saw it was that 10 is coming. He literally just does it like a cork swing,
It looks so easy, bro.
It's so crazy, dude.
It's so easy. And he most recently just did 30 corks as well and shattered Bailey's record of corkscrews. So I'm like, man, something is going on in Johan's brain right now. I don't know if he's purposely trying to shatter and do world's first, or if he's just feeling himself right now,
This is putting it all together. Like he's just so well built for it, and he just has that gas, It's just that like inner like ability to keep wanting to push in that one direction. And when you're that good at it, Yeah. You're not going to stop. And another thing I feel like that was really messing with me with all the swing throughs is I started to get like a really bad left hip. Like it was so impinged because of just so many plants and swing throughs and not switching it up and not like doing other things. So I started seeing a massage therapist like a little bit after that. So like I feel like that's another thing that kind of pushed me away from just like the repetitious, like, dude, I don't know how his body handles it. I really don't.
100. And that's actually a great segue, because that's something that I wanted to ask you about personally, was because like you've been in the sport for almost 10 years right now, but relatively speaking, you're still young at the age of 22, about to turn 23. I just wanted to know like how your body is feeling after 10 years of tricking, and if you do any like maintenance in order to continue to stay on this journey right now.
Oh yeah, I definitely do maintenance. Definitely a lot of stretching and light conditioning. I'm not one to like pump weights hard, because I also don't want like a massive physique, but I definitely do like resistance band training and foam rolling and a lot of just like isometric stuff, a lot of calisthenic stuff, just about every day. But what's nice too is that at the gym I also demonstrate a shit ton of basics. So I'm just like constantly doing really good basic gymnastic techniques and taekwondo techniques that help my body move like in a solid way that's not impactful. Keep me moving. I'm not at a desk job 8 hours a day, which is nice.
Yeah, super true. And like with the exception of your hip and obviously those issues you were talking about with impingements from all the repeated impact and stuff like that, have you had any other major injuries, or have you been able to sustain a pretty like well maintained healthy body?
I'd say my body's pretty healthy, but in 2011 or 12, I did hurt my elbow pretty badly on a front tuck, where I I hyperextended my elbow really bad, and I had to get surgery. So I still have some problems with my elbow in terms of like full extension and whatnot, but I just try to work on that as much as I can too. But for the most part, other than that, like I could still bear like plenty of weight on both arms. Like I'm not like limited, but I definitely think that the lack of full extension is something that like I'll need to like just focus on, more often than not.
Totally.
Some injuries last longer than others.
And like you previously mentioned like how you had like a transition as far as your own personal style and the way that you approach tricking, and you're more into like doing clean basics, I guess, right now. How often do you train these days, and do you ever still have goals in mind that you're chasing, or at this point are you just more so tricking just for like the enjoyment of it, I guess?
Yeah, I definitely think that I'm now. I train probably once or twice a week now. Because I'm in the gym so often too, that usually during mid class or like during open gym after class, Dallas and I will have a session. Like I'll do 30 minutes of tricks after classes randomly. But my one like main session a week is on Tuesdays, and that's usually at Neo Motion with like all the other boys. But it is all just for fun at this point. Like I was saying earlier, like to try to like be like at the top of tricking is just. It's just the expectation is more than I think I'm willing to bear, and I'd rather give back to tricking in a different way. I still love tricking, I still love moving, but at the end of the day, I don't want to like push my body to its limits when there's just so much more that can be done for the sport. I do love tricking though, I do love moving, but I don't have the same drive to like just grind at it every single day now. I'm growing up. I definitely have more like professional goals in mind, like with the business and my life.
Hell yeah. And that's like a great segue too, because, obviously we've had Matt on here on a previous episode and stuff like that. So we got to have a little brief introduction to like Neo Motion Academy. But I think one of the coolest things about it is that you guys are one of the few, tricking schools that exist within the United States where you guys are teaching, a tricking curriculum and stuff like that. So how often are you at the gym, and how many classes are you guys like teaching a week to kids and stuff like that?
So the gym functions 4 days a week, and most of those days are either 3 or 4 classes. So I think in total we have 17 classes, like class times that we offer right now. Half of those are for 4 to 6-year-old, and half are for 7 to 12. And we've been having pretty good numbers even with this COVID stuff. People still, like I said in the beginning, we follow the protocols. We're wearing masks when we're 6 feet. Everything gets disinfected. So we've done a pretty good job spreading that message to the community, and they trust us. So, but there's some pretty athletic kids in the program that catch on to tricking very quickly.
That's super cool. Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like, what do you think is like the biggest skill you guys have been able to take someone from like ground zero and build themselves up to? Because obviously you guys are focused a little bit more on kids as opposed to like adults, I guess, for tricking and stuff like that. Have you seen any kid like make incredible progress over the time that you've been there?
Yeah, there's a few kids that stand out. There's one kid that could do like B-twist swing gainer. He can like combo like butterfly twists and kicks, and like he just has like a repertoire of skills that he could just like blend together really well. And there's a few other kids that can do like back tucks. Just a few. There's some kids that are like more inclined to do more flipping skills, and there's some kids that are more inclined to do more like dance style and like more just like movement like intertwined versus like hard skills. Because so many of the kids like they just want to do flips, but at the end of the day, like when you're 6 years old and you have like no like density in your muscles, it's not easy to do a back tuck. Like it's so hard. Like there's so much more that you can learn that can develop your body like safer, and I feel like that's like kind of the route we take with a lot of the kids. Like all the kids that can do flips and stuff are definitely in the older classes, but most of the young kids they just move and have fun. We just try to teach them to move safely.
Hell yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it surprises me all the time what kids are able to do, but I always say it, even in regards to like people like Shosei, for example, I don't think he's fully hit his man strength yet. So I'm very curious to see what he's going to be able to do.
He's only 16.
Yeah.
And it's hard too because your body develops through that. When your body gets bigger, it's harder to do the same things.
Totally. It's going to be
interesting.
He's learned it all so early on. Like, it's just all in there. It's all in his nervous system, you know?
Yeah.
All that movement. I don't know. Dude, Shosei is such an anomaly. Let's watching him.
And so, like, as someone that's been in tricking yourself for 10 years and someone that's obviously a coach of the sport and, like, sharing the message with people around the world, like, what advice would you have for people that are, like, you know, trying to get into tricking in general or trying to, like, improve their own personal skills based on where they're at right now? Do you have any advice or things that you would suggest to save them some time along their own journey that you may have picked up along the way?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing is don't compare yourself to anyone else. I think that I'm really lucky to not have grown up in the tricking era of Instagram, because I think that now it's just like the speed at which people are pumping out this content. Like, I don't know, people are just, I feel like it's more, people are more easily distracted with watching tricking than they are actually learning tricking. And that's definitely one thing that people could take into consideration. Beside that, just use the resources you have, you know. Kojo's Trick Lab is huge. Use YouTube. There's literally endless amounts of content on YouTube to go and learn from, and just respect your body. If your body's telling you not to do it, then don't do it. You gotta be smart. Like I said, it's not worth trying to get to the next level, but you wreck yourself. It's just not worth it. There's much more to life than just the tricks, you know.
Hell yeah, man. And with that being said, like you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier too and alluded to it, but obviously you're at a point right now where you have different goals as far as tricking is concerned. And you mentioned you have like more bigger goals as far as like the gym and the business is focused on. So, you know, what is the future looking like for you? Like, what do you think that you're going to continue to do as far as like your own personal journey in tricking and also I guess just professionally from here on out?
Yeah, that's definitely a great question. The main goal I feel like for myself and definitely my business partners and great friends as well is just to get a bigger facility and keep pushing the Neo Motion message with a good head on our shoulders and keep moving forward there, trying to make a lot of income that I can sustain myself with, you know, so that I don't have to do another random job. I would probably like to branch out and do other things, like even with tricking, maybe without, but I feel like that where I'm at in life now is kind of weird because I've dedicated so much of like my developmental life to tricking that now I'm trying to find ways just to distance myself a little bit so that I can, you know, enjoy the other flavors that life has to offer. There's a lot more to life than tricking. I don't, you know, it's not like I'm hating on tricking by any means, but I've been so engaged with it for so long that it's nice to take a step back and just think about other options, you know, think about other things to do. And that's where I feel like I'm at right now. Besides like just knowing that I want to grow the business to its full capacity, just trying to find other things to do, like just things that are kind of out of the blue, different, because that's what tricking was, you know. It's just so different, so standoutish. You see it and you're like, I want to do that. Like, and I rode that passion for 10 years. It's not like it's stopping, but I know that there's more out there that's like tricking. It's just very hard to find, but when you find it, you know it's right for you, that kind of thing.
100%, man. I mean, I can attest to that myself personally. There was a long time where my life like lived and died and basically revolved around tricking to the point where like, you know, I actually hit the same thing like yourself where I kind of just, you know, I still had a love and a passion and a huge respect and I still kept up to date with everyone in the community, but I just removed myself. Like we just stopped having gatherings for almost like 5 years just because I just wasn't as inclined to like stay into the day-to-day part of it. And I just kind of needed to take some time to go find myself and focus on my own career and future and stuff like that. So I think you're on the right path, man. You know, we all need to like take a little break and then, you know, you can always come back.
Exactly right. I know I'll always be welcome back with open arms.
Hell yeah. So with that being said, man, I mean, this is a question that I always ask everyone before we get on out of here. And it's super funny to ask young guys like you, especially because I feel like I'll be able to track this journey and see like what happens. So where do you personally see yourself 5 years from now? And then where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
5 years from now, definitely in a bigger facility with more clients, just a whole bigger operation, still training, tricking, Still with the same friends I've always been with, maybe a few new ones along the way. Still with my girlfriend as well, and just, more just active, just trying to stay happy every single day, enjoy every single day. And 10 years from now, I would say, hopefully I've branched off a little bit and still, with the gym, but also not spending every hour trying to teach classes, and just hopefully have dove into another aspect of professional life somewhere else. We'll see. I know there's a lot of opportunities, maybe like real estate. I don't know. A lot of opportunities. Just got to look for them,
Hell yeah, man. I'm excited to see where you go. And like I said, you're still young enough in the game that you have nothing but time.
Definitely. Just got to dedicate, the right time. So it's the best piece of advice I could give. You got to give your time,
Hell yeah, man. So, before we get out of here, can you just let people know, like, where they can go to continue to stay up to date with not only your own personal journey, but also, I guess, with, like, Neo Motion Academy and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. So my Instagram is Tommy Casio. It's not Tommy Casio. People have called me that before at gatherings. How embarrassing. So Tommy Casio. And then the gym's Instagram is Neo Motion Academy. And I'm sure Mr. Travis will plug those for you guys, so come check it out.
Hell yeah, man. Yo, guys, with that being said, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Tommy Case himself. So with that being said, guys, I had to give one more very special shout out. Thanks to our guest this week, Tommy. Thanks for coming through, homie.
Peace out, guys.
Hell yeah. And as always, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.